Many years ago, when Kaima first entered Chinedu's house as a new bride, she entered it with joy. Honestly, at that time, she would smile to herself while sweeping and giggle while washing plates. Their marriage began with hope. Chinedu had a good job at the time, whose salary screamed, "I will take care of her." He dressed well, spoke with confidence, and carried himself like someone who never planned to fail. Kaima came into that life gently because she was not a troublesome woman. She would never argue to prove a point. She believed that peace was something you protected by reducing your voice when necessary. She cooked with care, arranged the house, and watched her husband closely so she could understand the kind of man she had married. In those early days, people used to say she was lucky. Your husband is calm. He does not look like someone who will stress you. And Kaima would smile and nod. She believed it. And in truth, Chinedu was not a bad man. He provided. He did not wander outside carelessly. He did not return home drunk, and he did not beat his wife. He did what many people would call enough. But inside him, there was something that moved like a beast. Control. Control was like blood to Chinedu, and he loved to threaten at any slightest chance. Unfortunately, Kaima did not know this about him because it did not come out at once. It revealed itself slowly, like a peacock testing its beauty. The first time he used it on her, it sounded like nothing. That evening, Kaima had cooked soup and the salt was slightly more than it should be. Although it was not enough to cause trouble, it was enough for a man to notice. Chinedu tasted it, paused, and then looked at her. "This soup is too salty." Kaima moved closer and said, "I will adjust it." But he dropped the spoon sharply and said, "If you cannot cook well, you can go back to your father's house and learn." Kaima laughed immediately. Chinedu." The laughter came naturally. It felt like a joke, but Chinedu did not laugh. The room became quiet for a moment, then life continued. However, that was just the beginning. After that day, the word began to return. Not every day or every week, but regularly enough to become familiar. If she delayed him in the morning, he would say, "If you cannot wake up early, you can go back to your father's house." If she asked a question when he was tired, he would say it again. "You talk too much. Go to your father's house if you want to talk." If something small went wrong, the word would come out as if it had been waiting. "Pack your things and go." At first, Kaima ignored it. She believed it was one of those things men say when they are irritated. Empty words that carry no weight. But even empty words, when repeated often, begin to gather weight on their own. She began to notice it and her laughter reduced. She learned to watch his mood before speaking. If his face was tight, she would keep quiet. If his tone was sharp, she would agree quickly. Like that, peace remained in the house, even though it was not the free kind of peace. One afternoon, her friend Ngozi came to visit. Ngozi was not like Kaima, who knew how to control her tongue. They sat together after Kaima served her food. Ngozi watched her quietly for some time before speaking. "Kaima, why are you behaving like someone walking inside a shrine?" Kaima smiled. "What do you mean?" "You are too careful," Ngozi said. Kaima laughed. "Careful is good now." Ngozi shook her head. "No, careful is fair with good manners." Kaima said nothing. Ngozi leaned forward and then asked, "Does he shout at you?" Kaima paused. "Not really. He just says I should pack my bags and leave whenever he's angry." Ngozi dropped her spoon. "He says that?" Kaima nodded. "Yes. And you are still here?" Kaima smiled again, but this time her smile was thin. "Where will I go?" Ngozi leaned back. "One day you will go." Kaima shook her head gently. "No, I won't." Ngozi looked at her seriously. "Okay now, just get ready because one day he will say it and mean it." That evening, when Chinedu returned, he met Ngozi still in the house. They exchanged greetings and Ngozi did not waste time at all. Why do you always tell her to go? Chinedu looked at her, surprised by the boldness. Who told you that? Ngozi smiled. She did not need to tell me. He laughed lightly. You people like to exaggerate, but Ngozi did not laugh. So, you do not say it. Chinedu shrugged. It's just talk. Ngozi nodded slowly. Okay, one day, your talk will become action. Chinedu waved his hand. That day will not reach. He said it confidently like a man who had never lost control of his words before. Later that night, when they were alone, Kaima said, one day you will say it and I will go. Chinedu turned to her. For a moment, he studied her face as if he was measuring the seriousness of her voice. Then he smiled and said, that day will be your last in this house. Patience nodded. Yes, she did not argue with him. Well, life did not change the next day. That was how their marriage worked. Heavy words could be spoken at night, and by morning, both of them would behave like people who had agreed not to remember anything. Chinedu woke up early as usual. He ironed his shirt with care, pressing the sleeves twice as if neatness could control the day ahead, while Kaima moved around the house quietly, folding clothes, arranging things, and watching him the way she had learned to watch him over the years. She did not speak unless it was necessary. She had mastered that skill. As he dressed, he spoke without looking at her. There is a file on the table, brown file. Put it inside my bag. Kaima turned her head slightly. She saw it immediately. It was sitting there quietly, minding its own business. I will put it, she said. He adjusted his collar and glanced at her. Don't forget. I will not forget, she repeated. He carried his bag to the door and placed it there carefully, then stepped outside to take a call. His voice floated back into the room, confidently like a man who believed he knew what he was doing. Inside, Kaima walked toward the table. Her hand almost touched the file. Almost. Then something small called her away. The tap in the bathroom was running too loudly, so she went to turn it off. From there, she remembered the pots in the kitchen that needed to be checked. From there, she saw clothes that needed to be taken out before the sun became too harsh. Small ordinary things that filled a woman's morning without permission. By the time she returned to the sitting room, Chinedu had finished his call. I am going, he said. She quickly nodded. Okay. He picked up his bag and asked, did you put the file? That question entered the room like a bomb. Kaima's eyes immediately moved to the table in the room. The brown file was still there. For a moment, she did not speak. Not because she did not want to, but because her mind was already arranging how to fix it. I will put it now, she quickly said, moving toward the table. But Chinedu had already opened his bag. His hand stopped midway. He looked at her. You did not put it? It slipped my mind. I will put it now. You can still take it. He dropped the bag slowly on the chair. You forgot? It was not intentional, Kaima replied and rushed to pick up the file. Chinedu laughed once, short and dry. Not intentional. Kaima stepped closer. Take it. You can still make it. Chinedu did not stretch out his hand. He asked, do you know what that file is? Kaima shook her head. No. It is what I am presenting this morning, he said. The words were calm, but they were heavy. I am sorry, Kaima said. Chinedu looked at her properly now, as if he had been waiting for this exact moment. This is how you behave. No, Kaima quickly replied. It is not like that. It is exactly like that, Chinedu insisted. I said I am sorry. It was not intentional. Chinedu shook his head slowly. Sorry does not carry documents. Silence filled the room. Kaima stood there holding the file, not knowing whether to move forward or step back. I will follow you, she finally said. I will bring it for you. No, Chinedu said. The answer came immediately. No, Kaima asked. No, he repeated. He picked up his bag again, then dropped it once more as if something inside him had decided to finish what had been started long ago. Pack your things. The words came out calmly, too calmly. Kaima did not move at first. He continued, "This time, I am serious." Kaima looked at him carefully, searching his face the way someone searches for a familiar sign in a strange place. "Go to your father's house," he commanded. The sentence came out fully now, complete, heavy and final. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Kaima asked, "Because of file?" Chinedu did not answer that question. Instead, he said, "If you cannot handle simple instruction, you cannot handle this house." She opened her mouth as if to explain again, then closed it. Chinedu picked up his bag and walked toward the door. He paused slightly, just for a second, as if expecting something behind him. Kaima wanted to call out, "Chinedu," but the word stopped in her throat. He waited and nothing followed, so he opened the door and stepped out. Kaima stood where she was. The file was still in her hand. He had forgotten the precious little file out of anger. She looked at it for a long time, then placed it gently back on the table. For some minutes, she did not move, not because she did not understand what had happened, but because she understood it too well. She walked into the room and brought out a small travel bag. Then she began to pack her things. As she folded her clothes, her phone rang. It was Ngozi calling. She picked it up. "Hello?" Ngozi's voice came quickly. "I just remembered you. How are you?" Kaima smiled faintly. "I am fine." "You don't sound fine." Kaima paused and then she said, "I am coming." "Coming where?" Ngozi asked. Kaima closed her bag gently and sighed. "Not to my father's house." "Then where?" Ngozi asked. Kaima lifted the bag and looked around the room one last time. "Somewhere I can breathe." Ngozi did not speak for a moment. Then she said, "It is long overdue." Kaima ended the call. She carried her bag, walked to the door and stepped outside. This time she did not look back. Outside, the compound was awake but not too busy. A woman was washing clothes at the corner, and the landlord stood by the gate discussing rent with someone who looked like he had been avoiding him for weeks. Life continued as if nothing important had just happened. Kaima walked past them quietly and greeted, "Good morning, Oga Landlord." The landlord nodded, "Good morning." He looked at her bag briefly and asked, "You dey travel?" She nodded, "Yes." Outside the gate, she stopped for a moment and then looked at the road because she was adjusting to the feeling of living without being pushed out physically. Then she entered a cab, not a bus or a bike, a cab. The driver greeted her. "Madam, where you dey go?" "To the airport," she answered. He started the engine and took her away. Meanwhile, Chinedu returned to the house 2 hours later. His meeting had not gone well. He had managed without the file, but not without embarrassment. Questions had been asked and he barely managed to answer them. So, irritation followed him home. He opened the door, dropped his bag on the chair and called out, "Kaima!" But no answer came. He walked into the room. The wardrobe was slightly open. He paused. Something inside him shook. He opened it fully and frowned as he saw that some clothes were missing. He walked back to the sitting room slowly. The brown file was still on the table. That was when he understood. She left. He laughed bitterly. She left. He picked up his phone and dialed her number. It rang, but she did not pick. He called again, still no answer. He sent a message, "Where are you?" but got no reply. He dropped the phone and sat down. Meanwhile, the car had entered the airport road. Kaima sat quietly watching the buildings pass. She did not cry because her tears had ended long before the decision was made. The driver glanced at her through the mirror and asked, "Is it your first time traveling?" She nodded, "Yes." He smiled and said, "You will enjoy it." As they stepped out of the taxi at the airport, Ngozi called her. "Have you reached?" "Yes," Kaima nodded. "You actually went?" Ngozi asked. "Yes," Kaima responded. Ngozi laughed. "This man does not know what he has done." Kaima adjusted the strap of her bag. "He knows what he said." Ngozi laughed again. "No, he does not know what it means." Kaima said nothing. She just walked into the airport slowly. Back at home, Chinedu picked up his phone again. He opened her WhatsApp and saw last seen recently. He frowned and called her again but got no answer. Then something strange happened. He saw that her status had been updated. He clicked it and saw a short airport video with no caption. He stared at the screen. Airport? His chest became tight instantly. He waited and another update came in. This one, Kaima was at the boarding gate. She was seated calmly. Chinedu looked at the video unbelievably. "This girl," he muttered. He opened the chat again and typed, "When are you coming back?" He waited for a reply, but what he got was another status update. For some seconds, he did not move. The house was unusually quiet. This was not the kind of quietness he was used to. This one had weight. It was pressing his chest without asking for permission. He clicked the video again and saw that she was now seated by the window, looking outside and smiling. He zoomed the screen slightly and muttered, "Inside the plane?" He dropped the phone on his lap and looked around the sitting room. Everything was where it should be. The chairs, table, curtains, even the brown file was still sitting there like a witness. Only one thing was missing: his wife. He picked up the phone again and typed, "Answer me." Then he stood up and began to walk around the room slowly. "So you will not answer?" He walked to the kitchen and frowned. It was empty. There was no pot on fire, no food in sight. He returned to the sitting room and sat down again. His phone vibrated and he picked it up quickly, but unfortunately, it was not Kaima. It was from his office group. He was about to strangle the phone when he saw another status update from Kaima. He clicked it immediately and saw that the plane was taking off. The video showed clouds appearing. His jaw tightened. "She actually traveled," he muttered. That was when reality sat down properly on his head. She didn't just go. She traveled to where he did not know. He leaned forward and typed, "Where are you going?" The message went through, but he got no reply. He stared at the chat as if staring at it would force a response, but nothing came. He threw the phone on the chair beside him. This girl is joking. That evening, he did not eat, not because there was no food, but because there was no one to prepare it for him. He ordered something outside, ate it without appetite, and dropped the plate halfway. His eyes kept moving back to his phone. When night came, sleep did not come. He lay on the bed and turned from side to side. Around midnight, he picked his phone again and saw online. He sat up immediately. "She's online." He quickly typed, "Where are you?" The message showed seen. His heart jumped up. She was there. She had seen his message. He waited for a response, but nothing came. Instead, he saw her status updated again. He clicked it and saw a clean, bright hotel room. She had placed the phone on a table and walked into the view briefly. Chinedu sat up fully now. "Hotel?" He stared harder. "Which hotel?" He typed, "Which hotel are you?" He laughed. "Okay, you want to play." He dropped the phone and lay back again, but sleep did not come. By morning, Chinedu looked very tired, both physically and mentally. He reached for his phone before his eyes fully opened and clicked on her status updates. He saw her having a breakfast buffet. Varieties of food were arranged neatly on a table before her. He frowned. "She's eating." Something about that annoyed him deeply. Not because she was eating, but because she was eating peacefully, unbothered. That was not the script he had imagined. He expected suffering. He expected her to be crying. He expected at least confusion, not enjoyment. minutes. He sat up and typed again. When are you coming back? The message showed seen, but still, she refused to reply him. This time, his irritation began to rise. He stood up and fumed. This is getting out of hand. He walked around the room again, faster this time. Then he stopped, picked up his phone and typed, "If you do not return in 48 hours, forget about this marriage." He stared at the message and read it again. Yes, that was the sentence, the familiar, strong and final sentence. He sent it and leaned back with slight satisfaction. Now she will respond. That was how it had always worked. That sentence of his carried power. He smiled and waited, but after 30 minutes, nothing happened. She didn't reply. He checked the message and saw that it had been delivered. He sat up. She has not seen it. Then the blue tick appeared. Seen. He relaxed. Ah, good. Then he waited for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, still nothing. His confidence began to drop. He saw her status updates again. He clicked and this time it was a video of her at the poolside laughing at something someone said off camera. He paused the video and squinted. Who is that? He replayed it and heard several voices of people enjoying. He leaned closer. Who are these people? His chest tightened. Ah, this girl. He dropped the phone and stood up abruptly. So, you saw my message and still went to the pool? He picked it again and typed, "You saw what I sent." He laughed, but this time the laughter sounded more like frustration. Okay. He sat down slowly. Let me wait. Unfortunately, that day passed. Morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Yet, she did not respond to him. She just kept updating her status from desert ride to surfing. She was laughing in all videos. He stared at the screen. She's even laughing. That laughing did something to him. The next day, he woke up earlier than usual with his phone in his hand. He checked and saw no message. He went straight to her status only to see another video of her at a shopping mall. She was walking with a group talking freely. He sat down heavily. 48 hours ultimatum. He checked the time and saw that there was still some hours left. He held on to that. She would still respond. That was how his mind worked. His deadlines created fear and fear created compliance. He moved through the day like someone waiting for an exam result. Every few minutes he would check the time. Every few minutes he would check the chat, but still nothing happened. His friends called him. How far now? Where are you? He replied, I am busy. He could not explain to them what was happening. By afternoon, he sent Kaima another message. I am serious. The message showed seen, but no reply came. He stood up and paced again. Maybe she does not understand. So he typed again. I said 48 hours or you forget about the marriage. The message showed seen, but nothing happened. He dropped the phone and sat down slowly. Something was happening, something he had not experienced before. His words were no longer working. By evening, he sat with his phone like someone guarding it. He checked the time and saw that it was only 1 hour left to his ultimatum. His heart began to beat faster. This girl. He opened their chat again. Still no response. She had not even updated her status recently. He began to count down to the last 1 hour. 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. By now, his breathing had changed. 5 minutes. He sat upright. Let me see what she will do. 1 minute. 30 seconds. He stared at the screen. Then it happened. He saw a new status update. He clicked it immediately and saw a live-timed video. He froze. She was seated at a table in a beautiful hotel room facing the morning sunlight, even though it was evening where he was. Oh wow, there was time difference. She looked fresh and alive. She smiled and said, "Good morning." His chest dropped. She lifted a cup and winked. Breakfast time, she said. She turned the camera and showed the table full of food. Then she faced the camera and said, Dubai is sweet. He stared in shock as the video continued. She laughed and then ended the video. For some minutes, Chinedu did not move. His phone was still in his hand. The message he had sent was still there. If you do not return in 48 hours, forget about this marriage. 48 hours had come and passed. She had seen it. She had ignored it. She had posted. She had even smiled and eaten. And yet, nothing had happened. His threats had expired. For the first time in his life, he felt helpless. He leaned back slowly and wiped his face. After what seemed like ages to him, he picked up the phone again, opened the chat, stared at it, and then he typed. But wait, this time he did not command. He simply wrote, "Please call me." He stared at the message for a long moment before sending it. This time he did not wait with pride. He leaned forward with uncertainty. For 30 minutes, nothing happened. Then suddenly, his phone rang. He grabbed it immediately and saw her name, Kaima. He cleared his throat quickly before picking. Hello? Her voice came in calmly. She did not sound angry. "Good morning," she said. He paused. That was not the tone he expected. He had expected anger. He replied, "Good morning." He went speechless for a few seconds. Then he rushed. "When are you coming back?" Kaima did not answer immediately. She took her time. "You said something," she replied. He swallowed his tongue. "What?" She spoke slowly. "In your words, if you do not return in 48 hours, forget about this marriage." The words came back to him like an echo. His voice softened immediately. "No, I was angry." Kaima corrected. "No, you were not angry. You were comfortable." He said nothing. Kaima continued. "You have been saying that for a very long time." Chinedu shifted on the chair. "Kaima, please, let me finish," she said. Chinedu stopped. Kaima continued. "You say it when I am late. You say it when I forget something. You say it when food is not ready. You say it like it is greeting." Chinedu exhaled slowly. "I didn't mean it." "That is the problem," Kaima replied. "You did not mean it, but you used it." Then she changed her tone slightly. "Now, let me say my own." Chinedu sat up fully. "Okay." Kaima did not rush. She spoke. "If I am to return, it will not be the same house I left." His chest tightened. What do you mean?" Kaima spoke clearly. "I mean, you will not threaten me again. Not with words, not with tone, not even with your eyes." Chinedu blinked slowly. "I understand." "No," Kaima replied. "You don't understand." Chinedu nodded. "Okay, explain." Kaima did. "From today, if you raise your voice to threaten me, I will not argue. I will not cry. I will not explain anything. I will leave again, and that time I will not come back." Chinedu's heart dropped. "Kaima, I am not finished," she said. Chinedu closed his mouth. Kaima continued. "You will speak with respect to me. You would ask, not command. You will discuss, not declare." Chinedu nodded even though she could not see him. "Yes," Kaima continued. "And one more thing." Chinedu braced himself. "You would not use go to your father's house as a joke or anger again. That house is still open for me. Don't remind me to go back." Chinedu looked down. "I understand." There was silence. Then he asked, Are you coming back?" This time, Kaima answered directly. "Yes, but not because you told me to." Chinedu nodded again. "I know." Kaima continued. "I am coming back because I want to. And when I come back, you will behave like someone who does not want to lose what he has." Chinedu's voice went low. "I will." Kaima paused. Then she added the final line that settled everything. "And if you ever try that nonsense again, I will upgrade from Dubai to something you cannot afford." Chinedu almost smiled. "I won't." Kaima did not laugh. She just said good and then ended the call. Just like that, Chinedu stared at his phone. For a long moment, he did not move. Then slowly, he leaned back and muttered, "This girl." But this time, the phrase carried respect, not irritation. That evening, he walked around the house again, observing. Everything suddenly looked different to him, or maybe it was his brain that had been reset. He walked into the kitchen, opened a pot and closed it. He stood there for a while and then muttered, "I have been talking too much." The next morning, he woke up early, swept the sitting room and arranged things, not because somebody told him, but because he wanted to. That morning, he got a message from Patience that said, "I'll be landing tomorrow." He read it twice and then replied immediately, "Safe trip, welcome home." He stared at the message before sending it. It felt strange but correct, very correct. The next day, he arrived very early at the airport. He stood there waiting, checking time, checking the entrance and adjusting his shirt over and over again. When she finally walked out, he saw her before she saw him. She looked different. He walked toward her slowly and said, "Welcome." Kaima nodded, "Thank you." He reached for her bag. "Let me carry it." She allowed him. "Before Uncle." They walked quietly. As they reached the car, he opened the door for her. She entered, then he closed it gently, walked to his side and sat down. Before he started the engine, he asked, "Are you hungry?" She nodded, "Yes." He nodded, "Okay, let's eat first." He drove off calmly without a word more. And from that day forward, Chinedu did not threaten anyone or anything again. Not once, not even a mosquito. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. What lesson did you learn from this story? Kindly share the story out with your loved ones and give the story a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye.